It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. Make sure you're listening anywhere you get podcasts, and you can follow me on socials at MLUPod. You can check out my website, peteraradio.com/ My Little Underground for the full My Little Underground archive. And you can also sign up for the monthly My Little Underground email newsletter, and that's also at peteraradio.com. This week, I'm coming to you from the Minneapolis. That's right. I'm in town for AEW Full Gear, and of course, I'll talk more about that on the Wrestling Caucus, because I'm going to be at the show, and Smiley, hopefully, is going to be watching from New York, and we'll talk all about it and other pro wrestling stuff. But I don't want to bore you with pro wrestling details here today on My Little Underground, because we're going to reprise, because you know me, I love a good reprisal. We're going to reprise my conversation about a few of the albums that I've been listening to this fall. And I forgot about two. And I also, last week, I know I talked about Courtney Barnett's album and Irreversible Entanglements album that both came out the same day. And I know I said I was probably going to wait until finals to talk about it. But I just felt like, fuck it. Let me just do it right now. Like, why wait until December to share my thoughts on this album? So I really want to talk about my, thoughts on this Minneapolis in general. I think it's a beautiful city. And again, I'm a homebody at heart. So just coming to a new city, new area code is kind of like, wow. You know what I mean? Like everything kind of just, I'm just excited and overwhelmed by just seeing everything that's not New York because, again, I'm used to just being in the same places all the time. Like, that sounds kind of sad, but like, that's kind of how I was wired, and that's a little bit of laziness on my part. And of course, financially, it's not the cheapest thing to fly and whatever, get a hotel and all that stuff. So now I thought, fuck it. I got to smell the roses. I got to live life, because the one thing that living through a pandemic has taught me, you gotta smell the roses. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to, go around the world in 80 days, but if you want to do something and you can do it, no matter what it is, I'm a big wrestling fan, as you know, and I thought, fuck it. Minneapolis is only about a 2.5 hour, 3 hour flight. It's not terrible. So I didn't have to take that much time off of work. I have paid vacation days, so who cares, right? So, yeah, so I got to catch up with my good friend Sophia. So cool to catch up with Sophia. And now she is one of the head ladies in charge of Mood Stringz, which is handmade accessories, bracelets, necklaces, etc. I'm going to put the link to their Etsy in the show description, so go check that out, and their Instagram as well. And yeah, and I have a few Mood Stringz already because I'm a huge fan, and I forgot them. I wanted to wear because I had this blue Oceanator sweater, and Sophia sent me a blue dice necklace. That's fucking awesome. It's so cool. And I really wanted to wear it, but I forgot it. But no biggie, because she gave me a cherry necklace that it's amazing. I ordered that originally, but it came in as like a choker, and I can't really wear those. So it's hanging up in my apartment right now, but it's really cool. So yeah, go check out Mood Stringz. Really cool small business, and they got, this is not a plug, by the way. This is not like an advertise. You know what I mean? Like, I really organically like and support Mood Stringz. So this is not really like a commercial or anything like that. I'm not paid. Sophia didn't pay me. Mood Stringz doesn't have an advertising budget. I just support cool underground, just mom and pop kind of businesses or whatever. You know what I mean? The show is about underground musicians or whatever, but it's all about things to discover as well, including businesses. And I didn't ask for this, but Sophia took me on a little tour around the Minneapolis yesterday, And the first place we stopped by was Gray's. It's a food hall. So you go in and there's 2 floors with many restaurants. I kind of likened it to a college student union because, if you went to college, you know that there's like a little common area where all the students either just study and they, take a break and they get something to eat. And there's many different varieties. There's a little cafe or what have you. This place, this Gray's place, is just that. There's like a lounge area, a bunch of different types of restaurants. There's an outdoor patio, but as Sophia told me, yeah, that's done. It's over because obviously Minneapolis, winter comes early. I'm so glad that I decided to come right before it got way too cold. So Soul Food, that's the place we kind of decided on, and they have things on their menu that are named after great black musicians, which is fucking awesome. They have Jill Scott yams, and I ordered. They have a big crit sandwich, which is really cool. But I really was attracted to the Shoddy Low Bowl. It has greens, salmon, yellow rice. It's almost like the food version of the Dano remix. So it was really cool. And rest in peace to Shardy Low. And if he was alive, I think he would appreciate that there's a menu, there's a food menu item named after him. And I'm sure there's many restaurants in Atlanta that are inspired by Shardy Low. And with the Shardy Low bowl, it came with common cornbread. That's right. Oh my God, we need these in New York. Yeah, the common cornbread. It was very delicious too, and I'm sure Rashid Lonnie Lynn would definitely appreciate a cornbread named after him. It was delicious too, by the way. And then our next stop on our impromptu Minneapolis tour was we got some coffee at this place called 5 Watt. That's right, 5 Watt. Oh man, that's the coolest name for a place, especially coffee because get it, you get charged up from caffeine. And the coolest thing about this cafe is that there's a lightning bolt outside of the establishment. That's right. It is awesome. I had to take a picture of it. It was gorgeous. And they also have a little radio station there too called Radio 5 Watt, and they focus on a lot of local Minneapolis musicians too. Which is really cool. And it's what I'm about too. So I'm going to give that station a listen. And hopefully I can do some stuff with them, maybe interview some Minneapolis artists. So any Minneapolis artist that makes good music, please hit me up. And generally speaking, send me an email, mylittleundergroundpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can follow me, the socials, you can DM me, whatever the fuck. So, and speaking of discovering local Minneapolis musicians, I know Radio K is a big thing out here. The college radio station of University of Minneapolis, I believe. I was listening to that religiously in college. It's such a cool station. I discovered. Hopefully they're still a band. Tony Peachka, they're pretty cool. If they're still a band, I'd love to have them on My Little Underground to talk some stuff. So. Yeah, the next stop, you see, every new city that I go to, right, I always want to check out their record store if I'm able, right? I didn't plan I wanted to go to a record store here coming to Minneapolis. I didn't plan on it because, I don't want to, travel with records and I don't want to overspend. So Sophia took me to a record store by surprise. I didn't want to. It's not that I didn't want to, but I didn't ask, let's go to a record store. She was like, I'm going to take you to a record store. She knows I love music and collect records and all that stuff. And she loves music too. So we just went and we, it's a really cool space too. And it's large, it's massive, it's overwhelming too. There's so much stuff. And I didn't want to spend too much money on records too, because I have been doing that recently. So I just kind of I need to be fiscally responsible. But I did end up picking up a really cool 7-inch. And yes, 7 inches are cool, despite what some may think. It's Olivia Jane and April March's Palladium 7-inch. And it's each of them covering the 1966 Liz Brady song Palladium. And they each cover it in a completely different style. it's a really cool listen. And the 7-inch was dirt cheap. It was like $6. So I was like, why the fuck not? And 7 inches are very easy to carry when you're traveling. So if you're ever in Minneapolis, go check out Electric Fetus. And according to Sophia, a local Minneapolis artist that you may or may not have heard of, Prince, he would shop there from time to time. So yeah, if you're thinking about coming to the Minneapolis, to the Minneapple, you gotta check out these places. You gotta go to 5 Watt for some coffee, and then go get some records at Electric Fetus. And if you happen to run into any of the Khoris, Sophia, if you see her, buy a Mood String. That's all I'll say. Those are the things to do in Minneapolis. So now let's dive into some albums that I forgot to mention last week that I've been listening to this fall, pumpkin spice season. I don't know how I can forget this. I don't know how I could have forgotten this. I'm such a fool. Old Man of the Woods. I'm a huge fan of Old Man of the Woods. Miranda's been on the show, and her new album, the Fungus Queen debut full-length album, Votives, is out right now. You see, I watch myself because I mispronounced the album title so many times. And even in the title track, the first single of the album, Miranda sings it clear as day, and I still fucked it up. And Brian Brookman of Total Wheel Records, he reminded me that I fucked it up on Twitter, and we were having some fun with it. And yeah, so Votives, that's how you pronounce it. I practice it a bunch of times. So this album is fucking gorgeous. I love it so much. It's dark. It's very in touch with nature. It's very pop music adjacent, and it makes you want to dance. It's fun in that way. Yeah, it may seem very sad and moody, surface level, but like really, it's really fun. And if you meet Miranda, and I had the pleasure of hanging out with her when she came to New York, such a pleasant human being, and her music now kind of sounds like what Seattle is stereotypically, very cloudy and rainy, but she's such a bright human, and her music kind of reflects that. And so Old Man of the Woods, musically, especially with this first album, it's about melody. Miranda is a melodic-minded musician. She wants the music to not only be stuck in the listener's head, for us, but for her too. When she was compiling all the songs that was going to be on the album, there was a bunch of stuff that she had in the vault. But if it didn't get stuck in her head, it wasn't going to make the album. And some of the best tunes on here: Garden, Votives, Running. Beautiful songs. They're very different from each other, but they run along the same stream, if that makes any sense. They're so pretty, very it just speaks to nature. It makes you want to go camping. It's go check out Old Man of the Woods, and go listen to my recent interview with Old Man of the Woods on the My Little Underground archives, PRAradio.com/My Little Underground, and wherever you get podcasts. And moving on to La Luz, I wish they would come on the show. I have a lot to talk to them about. La Luz's fourth album is so appropriately titled. It's self-titled. It's eponymous. And I think that makes sense because this is the album that they're saying, this is who we are. They are not reinventing the wheel in anything. They're doing anything totally innovative. But what they do best is highlighted here. And I think they're coming out of, they're trying to move past, this. I'm not saying they're trying to, explicitly trying to do this, but, it's almost like they don't want to be totally grouped in with, surf rock, whatever all that entails, like Dick Dale adjacent music. And there's still a smidge of that, but they're trying to, with the help of Adrian Young, to kind of build out more richer arrangements with a lot more happening than just kind of, loud surfy punk guitars, which is nothing wrong with that. I love that stuff, but La Luz is really becoming themselves and really maturing as artists, and they kind of turned down, like I said, like the rock and roll side of themselves for more pretty vocal arrangements. Like I said before, very richer, more rich, yes, rich arrangements. I don't want to repeat myself. Um, yeah, because they've always had that, but now on this album, it's kind of turned up to like to 10. You know what I mean? Like Here on Earth is a perfect embodiment of that. There's a lot of pretty Wurlitzer licks. I never really heard too much Wurlitzer from La Luz in the past. A lot of rich acoustic guitar strokes, supreme backing vocals. I love a good reprise, but I also love some sweet backing vocals. Man, La Luz, they really knocked it out of the park with this album. It's very, like, Old Man of the Woods and La Luz, now they're both Seattle artists. Hopefully they do a show together or whatever. They have, their music is like tea. It's very calming, it's soothing. And I usually like stuff that kind of punches you in the face. I like Ty Segall is a perfect example. But his music too, he's another guy that has a sweet, calm, melodic side. Like, he doesn't just have punchy, crunchy guitars, which is great, but there's more to artists like Ty Segall and La Luz. And funny I mentioned both of them because they worked together in the past and they brought the best out of each other. Ty Segall produced one of my favorite La Luz albums, Weirdo Shrine, and you saw like the surf rock element of La Luz, but like the melody aspect of them was coming out to the forefront, and this self-titled album is no different. Okay, moving on to the two albums that just came out on the same day. Talking about Courtney Barnett, her third album, Things Take Time, Take Time. Now, this is a very different album from Courtney. If you were expecting songs like, Pedestrian at Best, I'm Not Your Mother, I'm Not Your Bitch, this is not the album for you. It just isn't. It's very tranquil, it's very calm, but most importantly, I cannot stress this enough, it is not boring, because there's a few artists in the indie rock world, and they get really good ratings in a lot of music press, that are just boring. They're so calm and peaceful, and the artists are talented, but the music is boring. The tune, we got to think about the tunes, the actual songs. Calm does not have to be boring. Look at Shannon Leigh's album, for example. Geist, that is one of the most tranquil albums. There are songs on Geist that are so calm. There's barely any instrumentation, but the songs are rich and exciting and full of life. Would you play it on a car road trip? Would you play it at a party? No, but not all music has to be that. You can be calm and soothing. You don't have to be loud and boisterous and club friendly to be exciting. And I think Courtney Barnett here has shown that. And it's, I think she started making the album, in isolation from COVID, and it shows. Not saying the whole theme of the album is isolation and being alone and whatever the fuck, but it's calm. There's no like fuzzy guitar solos here. There's guitar solos on this, but it's not very crunchy as her previous work. But to me, what I love about Courtney Barnett is that her songwriting. Her songs are kind of like poems. They're little stories, and that is still here. As long as, if you're going to change up your sound, as long as you still keep the core of what made you special, that's all that matters to me. This album, Ray Street, Time is Money, but Money's No Man's Friend, that's beautiful. I love that. And Take It Day by Day, a very short song here, and I love a good short song. It's a mantra. It's a kind of smell the roses, and you're gonna be fine at the end of the day. Don't just drown in pessimism. That's basically what this is saying. It has like the positive, the positivity of like Elevator Operator with like the quickness of like Aqua Profunda, because again, what made Courtney Barnett special is still here. It's still here. It's different, which is good, which is what you want. But at the same time, it's still what made her special. Just like the La Luz album. The La Luz album is the same thing. They're going in a different direction, not a completely different direction, but what made them special? Their melodic core, their harmonies. The very soothing guitar licks. That's still there, but they're just maturing and adding new ingredients to their sound. And speaking of which, Irreversible Entanglements, they put out the same day as Courtney Barnett, Open the Gates. If you don't know Irreversible Entanglements, well, if this is the first My Little Underground episode that you're listening to, I've talked about them a lot. They've been on my end of the year list, especially like last year too. So, Irreversible Entanglements, free political jazz collective fronted by underground hip hop force, More Mother. And with Open the Gates, the title track, which is also the opener, this is like their pop song, right? And it's not a pop song in a traditional sense where it's very catchy, very melodic and whatever. But this is like their catchiest song by Irreversible Entanglements standards. There's a lot of big, grand horns, and it's quick, right into the punch. This is like, like a sample size of what they're capable of. It's how to introduce a very experimental band to an audience that may not be into stuff that's pretty experimental, if that makes sense. This is probably their quickest song. I might have to go back to their albums because usually their songs run like either a scale of like 7 minutes to like 15, 18 minutes. And on this album, there was a 20-minute song just like stuck in the middle of the album, which is cool. Yeah, but usually their songs take it's a slow burn, right? But with Open the Gates, they just quick 1, 2, 3 in and out. Which is a great way to open up an album too. You don't want to start. Well, you can if you want to, but you don't have if it's not typical to start with like a 15-minute epic. You know what I'm saying? But speaking of which, Keys to Creation is the opposite of Open the Gates. It's a 13-minute adventure, but this time, again, this is what Irreversible Entanglements does. They have a lot of these expansive songs, but this time around, they're adding a new recipe, just like La Luz and Courtney Barnett. They're adding a little ingredients to their sound, and this time they have more synths, which is cool. It complements their usual traditional free, crazy, avant jazz, and it goes in a lot of different directions. I was listening to it on my flight over to Minneapolis, and just wow. It's really just it's an adventure. It's patience testing, of course. It's not accessible. It's not like a 4-minute and 30-second pop song, there's nothing wrong with those. But if you're only used to that, it's not going to be for you. But if you want to, challenge yourself a little bit, I'd give Irreversible Entanglements a listen. It's a challenging listen, but at the end of the day, they're still making good music, but they're doing it differently. That's all. So that about wraps up my fall musical experience so far. We're in the middle of November. There's other albums that came out in November but I haven't listened to it a whole lot yet. You know what I mean? There's other projects, but this is stuff that I've been listening to a lot. So, thus on repeat. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to talk about things that just came out in the fall, that I haven't been listening to that much. But these are the projects that I've been returning to and listening to. Like, even though the Courtney Barnett and Irreversible Entanglements albums just came out, I've been listening to the teaser songs a whole lot because, one, I'm fans of the groups. And Old Man of the Woods I've been a fan of for about a year now. I listened to the album a lot too. And La Luz I've been a fan of for about 6 years. And I've listened to their self-titled numerous times. It's a quick listen. It's about 30 minutes long, if that. And yeah, there's a lot of good music that came. It was a very busy fall for music. Um, yeah, it makes me all excited to do my best of show, my finals next month in December. And you can listen to My Little Underground wherever you get podcasts. And of course, on my website, peteraradio.com/My Little Underground. The whole archive is there. You can follow me on socials, mostly Twitter and Instagram, at MLUPod. I'm Peter A. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your fall. Drink as many pumpkin spice lattes as possible before they take it off the menu. And of course, drink a lot of water. Don't drink that much caffeine. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, do not drink coffee unless you're working or something like that. Or unless you're like me sometimes if you're up editing really late. But get some sleep and keep listening to My Little Underground. I love doing this show and I hope you love listening to it. And again, I'm Peter A. And later days, I'm going to go get my pancakes.